Yay or Nay Show with Alex C. A sports show for sports fans by a sports fan. And now, here is Alex C.
All right, here we go. It is the Yay or Nay Show with Alex C, a sports show for sports fans by a sports fan, and we got a lot of stuff to talk about today. Really quickly, though, I want to start with the NBA. A lot of people were talking before we got into the actual regular season, preseason hype. Everybody was talking about Milwaukee, how they were the best in the NBA. They were the NBA champs. Look for them to maybe, be in the mix for a repeat. And they obviously were the best team in the NBA last year. No, they weren't. I don't know how many times we have had to have this conversation. I've said it once. I've said it a million times. I'll say it all the way till the end of the season when I am proven right once again. Milwaukee was not the best team in the NBA last year. They walked into the playoffs simply because the basketball gods knocked out all of the actual superstars on all of the other opposing teams, and all Milwaukee, as well as the Phoenix Suns, had to do was walk their way into the NBA Finals. Whoever was going to be the healthiest, and if they both were the healthiest, Milwaukee would be the better of the two. That's what happened. You had arguably two of the teams that would have been in the middle to the bottom of their respective leagues, Western and Eastern Conference, playing for the NBA Finals last year. And again, Milwaukee won. And then they said, oh, you're going to see how good they are. They're so great. They didn't have to make any moves. They basically got the whole team intact, and they're going to be ready to go. Okay. And here we are. And now we're watching Milwaukee, and they look like garbage. Why? Because they're not that good. They're a regular season team. They're going to put a win streak together. They're going to get a lot of wins in the regular season, but they're looking like garbage right now in the beginning of the season. But they're going to get a lot of wins in the regular season, and then they're not going to go anywhere when it comes to playoff time because Milwaukee's not the best. Again, amazing to me how these national media guys continue to get it wrong. And same thing, that they said about the Lakers. Oh, they're going to be a front runner for the NBA championship. It's amazing the roster moves they made. A bunch of old guys, Russell Westbrook, who can't play with anybody. I already said this as soon as all these moves were made. Before we ever had a game that was played, I told you this was a bad move. All these moves were bad. They were nothing but an old team. Adding Russell Westbrook, one of two things was going to happen. He was going to outrun his own teammates, and he was going to wear them down, or Russell Westbrook was going to wear himself down by the fourth quarter of the season, because that's what he always does. He's out of gas. He's not an outside shooter to begin with, so you can't count on him, and it only gets worse as the season progresses, and plus he is now another year older. He is not as young as he used to be. So when you put all these things together and you look at what's going on with the Lakers, I told you they weren't going to be that good. I don't see an NBA championship team here. I know the LA press was trying to, play it up and say how they were going to make a run and be the best team in the West. The national media was running around saying the same stuff. Now I'm looking at these national media guys, and now all of a sudden they got to come back around. They got to follow my lead. They got to tell you the Lakers are old. They're not that good. Russell Westbrook, not a great team player. And it's like, wow. Didn't I say that before they actually ever touched the hardwood? It's amazing how these national media guys continue to get it wrong. Again, it's cool. They got to have their perspective. I'll have my perspective. I live in reality. They go off of, I don't know what they go off, really, numbers, analytics. I don't know what it is they use. But it definitely, to me, doesn't seem like they watch a lot of ball. But again, Lakers, if they make the playoffs, they're going to be somewhere between a 6 and an 8 seed. That's what I said, and I'm standing by it. All right, just wanted to get that in there in regards to the NBA because, man, I've just been watching some games lately, and it's like, wow, really? And then I've seen some surprise teams, by the way. Look, the Cleveland Cavaliers, they fight good. They fight hard. They're playing well. I'm surprised and impressed by the effort that I'm seeing with Cleveland. Granted, they're not getting, a tremendous amount of wins, and granted, they're not favored in their games when you look at the Vegas odds, but they have played some really good teams very, very well. Another team that I'm surprised about, Washington. I'm very, very surprised about Washington. Doing very well. Didn't see it coming. They look good. Again, it's early in the season, but they do look good. Brooklyn, well, you know what? Looks like all of the outside noise has creeped their way into the locker room. But you know what? They're going to be okay and they're going to put it together. But again, they've got to figure out how to quiet the outside noise. But you can tell the outside noise is affecting their play a little bit. That's obvious. But again, still, I believe in Brooklyn. If there's anybody I believe in Brooklyn. Boston, still the same disappointment they've always been. A lot of hype. They got a roster. They can't seem to put it together roster-wise. It's amazing in regards to what I'm seeing. Atlanta, well, I'm a little surprised. I thought we'd see a little fire. We haven't seen it yet. Maybe they'll catch a little burn later on in the year. But I thought we'd see a lot better out of Atlanta than what we've seen. But who knows? Maybe they're just a playoff-motivated team. Maybe their goal is just to make it to the playoffs and turn it on when they get there. In basketball, unlike football, you can flip a switch and you can turn it on. It's not like football. So if they coast their way through the season and make it into the playoffs and decide that that's when they're going to want to flip the switch, I'm with it. I'm okay with it. But I did think I'd see a little more out of them so far this year. I haven't really seen it. Phoenix Suns, they're looking like I thought they would. Look, they're going to be a middle-of-the-road team. They started off slow. They've picked up a little steam as of late. But again, they're going to be a middle-of-the-road team, somewhere in the middle of the pack in the Western Conference, somewhere between 4 and 7 seed. I don't see them doing any better than that. And again, a lot of national media guys trying to say that look for them to win the West. Of course, that was before the Lakers and all the moves they made. Then all of a sudden, they moved the Suns down to 2 or 3. But look, neither one of those two teams is going to be in the top in the West. Simple as 1, 2, 3. All right, so let's get to football. A lot of stuff to talk about. A lot of stuff to talk about. First of all, let's talk about this game. Not because I'm a 49ers fan, but because, number one, I have a pet peeve. And my pet peeve with the NFL is I hate it. Can't stand it. It absolutely disgusts me when I see the officiating dictate the momentum of a game. And once again, in the Cardinals 49ers game, that's exactly what happened throughout the first half of that game. Throughout the first half, it was the 49ers versus the referees. It wasn't the 49ers versus the Cardinals. Granted, we're going to talk about the 49ers and their misgivings as well, but it was the 49ers against the referees. You had drives that were done, stalled, finished, penalty flag, and a very, very late one on an alleged hit to the helmet for Colt McCoy. Now, late doesn't even begin to explain that flag. It was like 90 minutes later, it was like retarded in regards to how long they waited to throw that flag. And it was all because of the screaming, the yelling, and the fit throwing that the crybaby Colt McCoy threw in regards to getting that call. And that's another thing. If you play football, try and beat a football team with your actual skills. How about that? Instead of being a whining little crybaby like Colt McCoy, and yes, I am talking to you, Colt McCoy, you big, giant, whining little sissy. Absolutely pathetic and embarrassing to watch you cry and make a fool out of yourself. The way you whined like a little baby girl crying for a foul that didn't even happen. And then you got the phantom call because you whined and you cried like an absolute stupid little baby. And then the referees give you the call. That was absolutely pathetic. And the pathetic part again is it's as pathetic as the referees giving you the call. The fact that you whined like a little baby in order to get the call because you suck and you're not good enough to move the Cardinals down the field on your own. So you need to get a phantom call in order to keep the drive going because Colt McCoy is not good enough to drive the Cardinals down the field because you suck as an NFL quarterback. That's why you're not a starting quarterback in the NFL. Simple as 1, 2, 3. Fact, not fiction. I would tell this to Colt McCoy's face anytime, any place, anywhere. And I am in the 602. Make no mistake about it, because that is something that guy should be absolutely embarrassed about, to sit there and whine like a crying little baby looking for a call on a penalty that was non-existent. And then to get it was more pathetic. But you had that. You had holding calls, all kinds of phantom calls that took place in the first half. And again, drive stalled. In comes the ref. There goes the flag. Now the Cardinals can continue to drive. Every time it happened, Cardinals score. Of course, you deflated the energy of the 49ers. They did what they had to do. They worked and they earned the stops. And then the referees have to interject themselves into the game and throw flags that are phantom flags in order to keep the game moving forward for the Cardinals. Amazing how, by the way, that only happened for the Cardinals. You never saw that happen for the 49ers. Again, think about that for a moment. Amazing how you only saw that happen for the Cardinals and you never saw that happen for the 49ers. Now, as far as the game, Cardinals won. Congratulations, Cardinals fans. However, if you want to be realistic and look at this game realistically, the Cardinals didn't win. 49ers gave it away. The refs, they had to battle the refs. They were going to lose that battle all day long. They've been losing that battle all year long against the referees as far as all these phantom calls go. However, the fact that they were loose with the ball, carrying it with one arm, weren't tucking it into their body, weren't protecting it. They were acting as if there was never anybody around them once they caught the ball. And, of course, the ball's going to pop out. And it popped out again. Not because the Cardinals were earning it, not because the Cardinals were being physical, because the 49ers receivers were being careless with the football, which goes back to bad coaching. Kyle Shanahan. Now, would I say, and let's keep in mind, I was the first, however, to say that Kyle Shanahan needed to get let go. I still stand strong with my opinion. Kyle Shanahan needs to get let go. Now, by the way, here's another thing the national media is now following me on. Now the national media is all about the seat getting hot for Kyle Shanahan. Now the national media is now looking at the call playing for Shanahan, asking what's going on. But yesterday's game, as much as the national media is trying to make you believe that was Shanahan's fault and it was the defense of the Cardinals, no, it wasn't. The 49ers moved that ball at will against the Cardinals. They were moving it nonstop, no problem at all. The only thing that stopped the 49ers was the 49ers. Careless with the football, letting the ball go, Cardinals getting the recoveries. Then they got a couple more lucky bounces when the 49ers popped it out of the Cardinals, running backs and receivers' hands, and the Cardinals were able to fall on the ball. So the ball dropped all the way in favor of the Cardinals, which is fine. That's part of the game. There's no issue there. But 49ers were loose with the ball. And if it wasn't for that, the defense couldn't stop the 49ers. They drove at will on the Cardinals all day long because that Cardinals defense is weak and it's soft. Now, we're going to talk defense throughout the league here in a minute. So I want to make sure I allude to that fact because we're going to come back and talk defense. But that Cardinals defense is weak and soft. But all of the NFL teams' defenses are weak and soft. And again, we're going to have that discussion here in a minute. But the thing is, the Cardinals defense is weak. The 49ers were able to move it at will. And it was just the 49ers shooting themselves in the foot with stupid penalties that they produced on their own. And then you had the flags that were some non-existent. And then you had the loose handling of the football. That was a huge mistake. And it led to turnovers. So 49ers gave that game away. It was easily a 49er game to win. They handed it over. They gave it away. Refs gave the momentum to the Cardinals. It never stopped. Even loose balls were bouncing the Cardinals' way. They were getting the ball back. So it was a day in the books where the Cardinals could do no wrong, especially when it comes to the Zebras. Now, I don't care if we're talking about the Chargers, the Falcons, the Chiefs. The referees have to stop interjecting themselves in the game, stop making, phantom calls, stop doing make good calls when you do a phantom call and you finally recognize that you did a phantom call, then do another phantom call so it's a make good call. Look, all that's got to stop. Referees have to take themselves out of the game. If there is not something that is blatant, then they should not be pulling the flags. Too many times are they pulling the flags for a bunch of garbage calls that are tic-tac. You can barely touch a quarterback, by the way. A sack on Colt McCoy. 2 of them, now that I think about it. You can't touch a quarterback in the NFL. It's ridiculous. You can't touch a quarterback. So how are you supposed to sack him? You supposed to sit there and say, hey, man, do you think you can fall down now? I mean, are you supposed to tell him count to 3,001 Mississippis? I mean, what are you supposed to do? If you can't grab and wrap a quarterback and take him down, How are you supposed to sack a quarterback? It's absolutely ridiculous. All the flags I watch each and every Sunday throughout the NFL for a bunch of bogus calls on unnecessary roughness on quarterbacks. It's absolutely you know what? The NBA did a huge service to the fan base by getting rid of all the flopping that all these offensive players were doing to get, 3-point shots turned into free throws, or a shot that they could never make, and they're just flopping into the defensive player, and then they're getting free throws. The NBA did the fans a huge service by getting rid of that garbage. Well, now the NFL in turn needs to do the same thing. They got to get rid of these egregious calls that they're making every single week for roughing the passer. Because if there's not blatant helmet-to-helmet contact, something that looks intentionally grabbing the face mask and yanking on it to pull somebody down, obviously pulling on a horse collar and yanking somebody down. If there's not something blatant, then they need to stop calling the stupid penalties. They're affecting the game way too much. They're giving first downs to teams who don't deserve them. They're changing momentum of games, and they're making teams score that would never have scored if it wasn't for all these phantom penalties. I have watched Cardinals games where there was one a couple of weeks ago, I think it was against Cleveland, where they had 5 penalties against Cleveland, and that's how they got all their first downs and then eventually scored. This has to stop. This has to be changed. It's absolutely wrong in regards to what's taking place with all of these bogus, unnecessary roughness calls. And the same thing with pass interference. You've got to let hand checking. You've got to let something take place. You're making it to where you can't even defend against a wide receiver, because every time a guy wants to get a first down, all he has to do is drop back, throw it deep, and watch the flags fly, because your receiver can create contact with the defender and you're going to get the flag for pass interference. This stuff has to stop. They've learned it in the NBA. They figured it out. They got rid of the flopping. You've got to do the same thing in the NFL. This is making the sport hard to watch, and it's making outcomes that shouldn't be happening happen. You got to put a stop to these bad calls. And you've got to figure out a system to grade your referees on a week in and week out basis that creates a little bit of, what's the word I'm looking for here? Culpability. They've got to be able to be held accountable for the bad calls that they make. Suspended, fined. If they had those kind of penalties in place, I guarantee we wouldn't have the problem with the referees that we currently have. It's like cops. If cops didn't have people overseeing their activities and watching what they're doing, then there'd be no way for cops to think twice about doing something stupid. And it's the same thing with referees. If we don't hold the referees accountable, then they're just going to continue to throw stupid flags the same way a cop would write stupid tickets and things that are egregious and wrong if they weren't being looked at and reviewed consistently and constantly. It has to stop. Now, let's move on. Next game I want to talk about. Titans. I didn't give them a prayer against the Rams. You know what? I'm still not a believer in their quarterback. I'm still not. But that team seems to have gelled as a team, and they are playing team ball. That's what you saw yesterday against the Rams. You saw team ball. You also saw bad coaching. Again, I'll say the same thing about McVay that I've said about Shanahan, which is, look, they keep dialing it in on their playbook, and they keep making it to where the playbook gets smaller and smaller, and all of a sudden, again, all the misdirection and all the things that you normally see disappear, and they become drop-back teams, and the Rams lose when they become a drop-back team. Now, against, lower caliber competition, they do okay, but I think they walked into this game thinking the Titans were going to be low caliber because no Derrick Henry. I understand that. But they got demolished, basically ran out of town because the Titans came in and ran camp, and they never looked back from the beginning of that game. Packers, Chiefs. The Packers without Aaron Rodgers, they're no good. Simple as 1, 2, 3. The Packers without Aaron Rodgers, they're no good. The Chiefs, they're no good. So you had two basically no good teams. One would be if they had their quarterback, but they did not. And the other one is just bad. And to listen to the national media guys continue so they don't sound bad to try and say, see, the Chiefs are figuring it out. They're finding ways to win. They're going to be there in the end. They're going to get to the playoffs and they're going to make a run. And why is it that they keep saying that they're going to go ahead and root for the Chiefs and believe in the Chiefs and never stop believing in the Chiefs? Oh, Patrick Mahomes. Oh, as long as they've got Patrick Mahomes. Folks, I've watched Patrick Mahomes all year. And again, I don't know what the national media guys are watching. I believe we're watching the same games. Or maybe it's just that I actually watch football and they don't. But Patrick Mahomes sucks. I don't know any other way to say it. Patrick Mahomes sucks. You can't tell me that he's a great quarterback. Now, years past, he looked great. He was good, and he was a great quarterback. Patrick Mahomes today, he's too worried about making commercials. He's too worried about doing things socially. He's too worried about everything but football, and it shows. And on the field, Patrick Mahomes sucks. There's no way to be polite about it. So I don't know where these guys get the idea that, oh, don't worry, they're going to flip a switch and they're going to turn it on. No, they're in a bad division. I understand they're in a bad division. And even though they're in a bad division, I still don't think the Chiefs have what it takes to win the division, let alone become a wild card team. I still say the Chiefs will not make the playoffs, irregardless of the national media guys trying to feed you the garbage about Patrick Mahomes and how great the Chiefs are and how great of a quarterback he is. No, national media guys, listen to the words coming out of my mouth. Patrick Mahomes sucks. There is no way to be polite about it. Patrick Mahomes sucks. All right, Chargers, Eagles, Chargers. Look, I get it. A lot of people could say the Chargers looked bad yesterday. I get it. I understand it. However, here's what people are not looking at and seeing. Again, because I'm wondering, national media guys, do you actually watch football? The Eagles, week after week, are getting better. The Eagles are figuring it out. The coaching staff's figuring it out. The play calling is getting better. They are now becoming a team that is very difficult to stop. This is the team that I said in the beginning of the year would be better and ready to play Dallas the second time around. I still stand by it. I believe in it. And I think that the Eagles are going to beat the Cowboys when they play them. I do, because they're getting better every week. And we're going to talk about the Cowboys here shortly. But the Chargers, I don't think they played bad yesterday. I think the Chargers played good yesterday. I think it's just that, hey, they're going up against a team who's on the uptick. And that's the thing the national media guys aren't talking about. Instead, they want to try and make you believe the Chargers are falling. And the Chargers, they're just not as good as everybody thought hype-wise. I get that. That makes sense. I'll understand and agree with that. But the Eagles are getting better. So the Chargers did not play down to the Eagles yesterday. They just played against a team that's on the uptick. Texans, Dolphins, who cares? Dolphins won. Vikings, Ravens. Who did I say was in my top three? Because I tried to say top four, but really there's only three. Although, let me say this. Last week I gave you what I believed was a top three. I told you the way it works is just like in college. You have your top four teams, and then you have Category B, which is everybody in the hunt trying to get in the top four. You have Category C, which is pretty much everybody who doesn't have a shot. They might have already, called it a year, looking forward to next year, trying to figure out if they're going to make, general manager moves, coaching moves, roster moves. That's Category C. Vikings are in that B category, right? And they're a team that you don't know who's going to show up week to week because you just don't. But here's the thing about it. Ravens were losing to the Vikings. And then Lamar Jackson, the league's MVP, I'm going to call it now, the league's MVP just runs a clinic and takes the Ravens to the promised land, beating the Vikings 34-31. They were losing. They were getting manhandled. And then all of a sudden, Lamar figures it out and is like, I'll put the team on my shoulders. I'll make it work. That's what he did. And Lord and behold, the Ravens won. That's why they were in my top three in regards to who was going to be the ones to be in that elite group of four. So, I don't know. Ravens looking unstoppable. And I'm going to go ahead. I would have done it last week because they didn't have Derrick Henry is why I didn't do it. But I'm going to add the Titans as the fourth team. Remember last week I told you I couldn't pick up a fourth. I couldn't think of a fourth. I told you I'd try and think of one. I thought about it the next day. I came back. I still couldn't come up with a fourth. And then after looking at yesterday and thinking about it today, the Titans are in that 4. So you got the Ravens and the Titans in the 3 and 4 position in my top 4, without a doubt. Cardinals, obviously, still at number 1. I'm going to leave the Rams at number 2, and I am going to put in the Titans along with the Ravens to round it out at 3 and 4. No doubt in my mind. Tonight, we got the Bears and the Steelers. Steelers should win that game. It's the Bears, folks. It's the Bears. That's all you can say. It's not that the Steelers are some great team. Steelers have had the luck of a soft schedule as of late, and they are playing a little bit better. I still don't believe they're anybody to worry about. They don't got to pray or go to the Super Bowl, but who knows? Maybe they'll at least go to the playoffs, which is a good season. But as far as going to the Super Bowl or having any aspirations to go deep, no, they're not that team. They're not even close to being that team. Patriots beat up on the Panthers. Patriots looking good. Coaching matters. And it's showing Bill Belichick is as good as advertised. He's taking a rookie quarterback. He's putting his system in play. And his quarterback's getting comfortable with the system. And the Patriots are starting to roll. And they won 24-6 over the Panthers. I did not look. I did not see that game yesterday. I don't know if Christian McCaffrey played. I don't think he did. But even if he did, it didn't make a difference, but I don't believe he did. Patriots rolling 24-6 over the Panthers. Coaching matters. Broncos beat up on the Cowboys. Wait a minute. The Cowboys, aren't they the team that's supposed to go to the Super Bowl according to all the national media guys? Now, here's what was funny to me. National media guys in a CYA moment, all of them universally said, oh, there's nothing to worry about. Oh, whoever said that a team was going to go undefeated anyway? It's a 17-week season. To think that a team's going to go undefeated. Who said anything about undefeated? Whoever mentioned in the same breath the Cowboys and undefeated? And by the way, the Cowboys, they already have a loss. So why would anybody say anything about undefeated? See, this is what I mean by the national media guys. They try to distract you. They try to take your attention and divert it to something else so they don't have to look bad with the bad picks they've made. Because they're the ones trying to convince you that the Cowboys are in the top 4, and they're still trying to convince you that the Cowboys and Tampa Bay are in the top 4 of the elite teams in the NFL. But here's the thing, and it's easy for me to show you how wrong the national media guys get it once again. Because if you guys know as much about football as you claim to know, then you would know you're supposed to beat teams that are bad. And the Broncos are bad. And you should have beat the Broncos even if you had a backup quarterback. And yet you went in there and you got schooled 30-16 at home by the Denver Broncos. Again, quit giving me the garbage about, oh, there's nothing to worry about. Oh, they're still one of the top 4 teams. Oh, nobody expects you to go undefeated. It's a 17-week season. No, you're supposed to beat bad teams, period. There is no gray area there. If you're as elite as everybody screams the Cowboys are, if the defense for the Cowboys is as great as everybody says they are, then why did the Broncos run all over the Cowboys like they weren't even on the field? And why did the Cowboys lose to one of the arguably worst teams in the NFL, definitely one of the bottom 10 in the Denver Broncos, and they lost to them 30-16? Why did that happen if the Cowboys are so great, if they're so elite, if they've got the great players, if they've got the great coach? Well, you got blown out 30-16. And how about that great quarterback, Dak Prescott? Man, he looked great yesterday, didn't he? See, but the national media guys want to deflect by saying, oh, well, nobody expects you to go undefeated, and it's a 17-week season. Yes, so what? You still beat the teams you're supposed to beat. That's what makes you elite. That's what makes you a Super Bowl prospect. So there goes how do I want to word this? There goes the philosophy of how the Cowboys are one of the top 4 teams. No, they're not. They're not one of the best. But again, national media guys trying to deflect because, again, I don't think they watch a whole lot of football. I really don't. I think they maybe watch some highlights, but I don't think they really pay attention to the games, and I don't think they really pay attention to what's going on. Because, again, if they did, they wouldn't be talking about, oh, the Cowboys are just fine. There's nothing to worry about. Really? You haven't beat anybody all year long, and you've been talking about, by the way, how this is a number one offense in the NFL. 16 points, number one offense, by the way. Just thought I'd throw that out there. You've been talking about how this defense is so great, top 5, 30 points, lost to the Broncos, one of the bottom 10 teams in the NFL. Just thought I'd bring that up, by the way. So now, Broncos beat the Cowboys, and you want to deflect by saying it's a 17-week season and nobody expects you to go undefeated. No. When you're good, if you're as good as you guys keep boasting the Cowboys are supposed to be, you beat the bad teams. And the Broncos are a bad team. There is no way around it. Simple as 1, 2, 3. But again, you guys continue to make excuses for the Cowboys because, again, I don't know if it's your networks. I don't know if it's the NFL that keeps telling you to sell the Cowboys as being one of the best, but they're not. And you're making yourselves look dumb each and every time you guys try and say that the Cowboys are one of the best. Browns and the Bengals. Here's another thing. Odell Beckham. Odell Beckham's gone. Everybody wants to scream. Odell Beckham's gone. And look how good the Browns look. Look how good Baker Mayfield played. Again, national media guys getting it wrong. It's like nobody lives in reality. There's this realm. It's called reality, folks. You have to look at reality. So the Browns beat the Bengals. Let's think about that for a moment. Who did the Bengals lose to last week? Wasn't it the Jets? The New York Jets? And a backup quarterback who hasn't started or done anything, and yet the Bengals lost? So wait, so the Browns beat the Bengals, who are obviously on a downswing, just losing to the Jets, now getting blown out by the Browns, and you want us to believe that Odell Beckham leaving is the reason why Baker Mayfield allegedly, and I'm going to use that word again, allegedly looked good, and that's why the Browns offense popped off 41 points. No, let's try this. Odell Beckham left, and him leaving doesn't even affect that offense. They never targeted Odell Beckham. They never got Odell Beckham the ball. He was never looking Odell Beckham's way. So how does Odell Beckham not being on the field somehow equate to the offense being so great when Nick Chubb's was the offense and he was the reason why the Browns scored most of their points and he was the offense? It wasn't Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield didn't do a whole lot. If you watch the game, you'd see he didn't do a whole lot. Yeah, he hit a couple of passes. But again, that was because Nick Chubb. That was because of the way that they were having to defend against the run. So it left you open with the pass. You didn't have Nick Chubb, and you haven't for quite a few weeks. And look how badly your offense and your so-called great quarterback in Baker Mayfield played and looked without Nick Chubb. Nick Chubb is that offense. Nick Chubb makes that offense go. It is not Baker Mayfield. He did not make that offense go yesterday. Go watch highlights if you guys didn't get a chance to see the game. Nick Chubb is what made that offense go, not Baker Mayfield. Take out Nick Chubb, and you wouldn't have had a high-scoring offense. It's real simple. It's amazing. These guys want to give credit to Baker Mayfield for something he did not do. And you did run up points against a Bengals team who, by the way, had 3 more points scored on them last week by the New York Jets, in case you guys forgot. So don't tell me about this Browns team who allegedly all of a sudden is so much better because one guy, and he's a wide receiver at that, is not on the field when the Bengals got blown up by the arguably one of the, I should say, bottom 4, I should say, teams in the NFL in the New York Jets. Give me a break. You guys constantly try to build stories and you don't look at reality. You just build stories and you try to make story. You try to make drama where there is none. Odell Beckham leaving has nothing to do with the Browns. Baker Mayfield did not look exceptional. By the way, folks, go look up the stats for Baker Mayfield. There was nothing impressive there either. So even if you didn't get a chance to see the game, if you just go and you look at the stats, you will see that there was nothing impressive by Baker Mayfield yesterday. And then if you go and watch the highlights after looking at the stats, you'll see equally there was nothing impressive by Baker Mayfield. It was all Nick Chubb and the running game, and it was that fact that their defense, by the way, their defense stepped it up against a team who's been playing bad for a couple of weeks now. Again, and it all showed when they played against the New York Jets. It's amazing how these guys, they don't tell you the whole story. They only tell you the narrative they want to tell you because they're trying to sell you on something. They want you to believe the Buccaneers, who haven't beat anybody that's a playoff contender yet this year, are the best team in the NFL. They want you to believe the Cowboys, who haven't beat anybody who's a playoff contender yet this year and just lost to one of the bottom 10 teams in the NFL, is one of the top 2 teams in the NFL. How can the Cowboys be one of the top 2 when they haven't beat anybody who's going to the playoffs and they just lost to a team who's in the bottom 10 of the NFL? How does that equate to you being one of the top 2 teams in the NFL? It's amazing to me. I don't know what these guys watch when it comes to football. I don't know what they pay attention to. It's like facts just don't seem to come across their mind when they talk about stuff, and I don't understand why, because it makes no sense. Again, Cowboys are nowhere near number 1 or number 2. The Buccaneers are nowhere near number 1 or number 2. Rams, Cardinals, arguably right now, Cardinals are number 1, Rams are number 2. Then you got the Ravens at number 3, and then you got the Titans at number 4, and then there's everybody else. That's simple. It doesn't take a genius to figure that out. It does not. And the disrespect that the Cardinals are getting is ridiculous, and I'm not a Cardinal fan. I'm a 49er fan, but I know what I'm watching, and what I'm watching as of this moment is the Cardinals are the best team in football. Even if Lady Luck is wrapping a couple of victories up for them, it doesn't matter. She's wrapping it up for them, and they're playing with it and making it work, and they're winning. So it doesn't matter. So it's happening. Cardinals easily number 1, way over the Cowboys. Even though you national media guys want everybody to believe that the Cowboys are better than the Cardinals, they're better than Tampa Bay, they're a Super Bowl kid. No, they're not. Head to head, the Cardinals will kill the Cowboys. Kill them. Won't even be close. Quarterback-wise, Cardinals have the better quarterback. Dak Prescott is second. He's not better than Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray's better than Dak. So if you just go quarterback to quarterback, Cardinals win. Cardinals are better than the Cowboys, yet you guys on the national media side continue to try and feed everybody the garbage that the Cowboys are the best team in the NFL. They just got beat by the Broncos. The Cardinals just beat the 49ers with a backup quarterback and missing 2 wide receivers and a few people on defense, starter-wise. And you're talking about the Cowboy team that got beat by the Broncos. And the Cardinals with a backup quarterback and backup receivers and backup defenders went into San Francisco and they beat San Francisco. And you're going to tell me the Cowboys are still one of the best teams in the NFL? You win games that you're supposed to win if you're good. Cowboys can't do that, and the Cowboys have not beat anybody who has a winning record or is going to the playoffs. So quit feeding me the garbage that the Cowboys are one of the top teams in the NFL. Quit feeding me the garbage because they're in the same bucket as the Cowboys that the Buccaneers are one of the top 2 teams in the NFL. No, they're not. They haven't beat anybody who's going to the playoffs. And how about the Bills getting embarrassed by the Jaguars? Bills got embarrassed by the Jaguars. I thought the Bills were supposed to be the team in the AFC. I thought they were supposed to be the up and coming. I thought they had the best quarterback. Supposedly they had the best defense. Supposedly they had great coaching. And yet they lost to the Jaguars. You guys, again, keep talking about the Bills. Now finally, Keyshawn Johnson says, well, maybe the Bills aren't as good as everybody thought they were. Really? You're barely figuring that out, Keyshawn? You're a little late to the party. I've been saying it since the season started before we ever got into week 1. Because the Bills, first of all, are not that good, and there was nothing impressive about them last year. It was a year of COVID, players opting out, nobody playing hard. Games were nothing but glorified scrimmages. There was no such thing as home field advantage. So, Bills getting embarrassed by the Jaguars, to be honest, I'm not surprised. I mean, I am surprised, but I'm not surprised it happened. I'm surprised it happened to the Jaguars, but I'm not surprised it happened because I've been saying since preseason, since the offseason, that the Bills are not who everybody thought they were. Now, national media guys finally coming around. It's amazing. Falcons and the Saints. Well, Saints don't have Jameis Winston. Still shouldn't have really mattered going up against the Falcons, to be honest, but 25-27 Falcons win. Jets put up 30 against the Colts, but the Colts still won 45-30 in the Thursday night game. But again, Mike White went out early in that game, never came back, still only lost by 15. I say when the Jets come back this week that they should put Mike White back in. Raiders lose to the Giants. There's a lot of talk because of what happened with the Raiders. I don't want to get into that conversation, but you guys know what I'm talking about. So I'm sure all the outside noise played a role in that game. 23-16, Giants over the Raiders. And again, tonight's game, you got the Steelers, you got the Bears. But again, it's the Bears. There's not going to really be much there. Steelers should roll over the Bears. We'll talk tomorrow. You guys enjoyed tonight's Monday night game, and we'll discuss the results of tonight's game and a whole lot more.